The Subcommittee on Oversight and Accountability will begin examining the implementation and enforcement of U.S. export controls as a part of the committee's 90-day review of the Department of Commerce's Bureau of Industry and Security, or BIS. There's a lot of buzzwords being thrown around these days. We spoke about a lot of them in my office in the last couple days. People like to talk about strategic competition. President Biden has used the phrases seeking competition, not conflict. But I want to cut through some of the D.C. bull and say it's not competition if one boxer doesn't step into the ring. And it's completely, undeniably, 100% unacceptable that American soldiers, men and women like ourselves, may have to one day be forced to stare down the barrel of an American-made weapon because the Biden administration has let the People's Republic of China get its hands on our tech. Members of this subcommittee on both sides of the dais have served our country in uniform honorably. We don't see eye to eye on every single policy issue, but I do know that we agree on this. When our men and women are staring down at enemy forces across the battlefield, our weapons and our will better be better than theirs. And there's no reason on God's green earth that we should be willing to be handing over our weapons to our enemy, or the means to build those weapons. I'd like to begin today's hearing by comparing and contrasting Xi Jinping and Joe Biden's approach to the relationship between our two nations. Let's be clear that Xi Jinping is gearing up for a fight. He's preparing for conflict by being more competitive. Pictured behind me is the DF-17. It's the People's Liberation Army first ground-launched hypersonic glide vehicle designed for anti-ship missions. China's state media refer to it as the aircraft killer. Everybody should be asking themselves, whose aircraft carrier do you think this missile is designed to kill? What sailors do you think it is designed to end the lives of? Xi has told his military he wants capability to attack Taiwan by 2027. He's told his generals to dare to fight. He's ready for a fight, and he's ready to do everything he can to make sure that China wins. That includes getting his hands on American tech, using our supply to his advantage. I brought a few articles that illustrate this point. Let's read a couple of these headlines. The Washington Post on October 17, 2022. American technology boosts China's hypersonic missile program. Washington Post again on April 9, 2021. China builds advanced weapon system using American ship technology. The fact is that failure to stop transfer and espionage of critical American technology to the People's Republic of China has contributed to its rapid military modernization and the rapid decrease in the United States' national security. Let's put a finer point on it. The Chinese Communist Party is using American technology to build more precise, more lethal weapons to sink our carriers and to kill our troops. That is Xi Jinping's plan. If Xi Jinping is gearing up for a fight, Joe Biden, in my opinion, is doing the opposite of that. He's desperate to appease the enemy, even if it means giving away our own military's advantage. Remember, we're not looking for a fight. That was the statement. We're looking for competition. But as the great General Patton said, real Americans love to fight. They love the clash and the sting of battle. At the heart of his appeasement strategy is Commerce's Bureau of Industry and Security, the agency's authority over export controls. Its seeming refusal to use that authority, it's infuriating because I can sit here and say that, yes, China is in fact stealing our technology, but more concerning, the administration is willing to hand it over to them, even in the midst of them being thieves. Let's look at the facts. During a 6-month period between November 2020 and April 2021, BIS approved $60 billion worth of licenses for American technology to Huawei and $40 billion worth of licenses to SMIC. It's denied less than 1% of licenses to both companies. 98% of controlled technologies are transferred to China without license. Of the 1% of exports that do need a license, only 2% of those licenses are denied. The Commerce Control List is more than 500 pages long, but it seems that every entity has a license exception, and even when a license is required, it's rubber stamped and sent back out the door. We have laws and regulations that fill binders upon binders upon binders, and there's just some simple stacks of them that my staff has put together, but they're wasted words if we don't actually enforce them. Our yes has to be yes, our no has to be no. Our adversaries have to take our country and our administration seriously. It's because of, in my opinion, Joe Biden's refusal to lead through strength that's not being done. While Xi Jinping is ready for a fight, President Biden is that guy with a quivering lip that won't look the bully in the eye and say, no, I'm going to stand up to you. That's not going to be allowed. You're not going to do that. So let's talk about how we fix this. The answer is actually implementing export controls in part. Congress gave the executive branch considerable authority in the Export Control Reform Act of 2018 to protect our national security, but the Biden administration is failing to implement it, including blatant refusal to even define emerging and critical technologies as the law requires. It's ironic, really, that the administration seems to determined to overstep its authority in almost every case, but now that it has the ability to do something to keep Americans safe, it says no thanks. But that refusal to act is a slap in the face to those who sent us here to represent them. A March 2023 Morning Consult poll found that 1 in 2 voters support restricting American companies from exporting to or doing business in China when it comes to advancing their technologies. Some of our friends on K Street who lobby against tough export controls like to overcomplicate things. They make the system out to be more intimidating and confusing than it really is. But when I'm back home, my constituents tend to keep things pretty simple. Don't sell American technology to an adversary that can be used to kill Americans. Today, we're going to hear testimony from leading experts, including former Commerce and DoD officials. One of them ran BIS, another led DITSA's counter-China work until he resigned in protest. They will tell us firsthand how broken our export and control system is and where we can work to fix it together. This hearing is just a starting point for the subcommittee's oversight of BIS and its use of export controls. In coming months, we plan to invite BIS officials to testify and answer for these failures. Export controls are about ensuring America is taken seriously on the global stage. We cannot be the nation of all talk and no action, of empty threats. Our actions have to match our words. Export controls are about national security, and as a soldier, when my brothers and sisters in arms are in that same position, I want them to know that their weapons can blow our enemies off the face of the earth and not have to worry that our enemies have the same capability to do that to them. Export controls are about beating China. I firmly believe that we have to run faster than our enemies, but we should not be working at all to give them any kind of capability to catch up. And China is ready for that fight.